The first time I came out, I was 19 years old. It was midwinter, and I was on a snowy beach in South Wales with my friend Tracy. She asked me, "Paul, are you gay?" And I replied, "No, yes, maybe." Of course, I knew the answer, but knowing it and saying it were two very different things. I thought my world would end, when really it was just beginning. Years later, I incorporated that scene into a novel called The Gay Divorcee. In the novel, Phil and Hazel aren't friends but lovers, and for Phil it's a definite maybe. Soon afterwards, he and Hazel are getting married. The second time I came out was at college, when I confided in my personal tutor. He advised me against telling my parents. It was the mid-80s. AIDS was making headlines. I was in London, city of endless sexual possibilities. They were in South Wales, reading news reports about this new gay plague. They'd only worry about me. The third time I came out was the first time I went to a gay nightclub, and not just any gay nightclub, the biggest, most famous, most intimidating gay nightclub in London, Heaven. It was Saturday night, men only. I stood outside for over an hour, chain smoking, trying to summon the courage to go in. When I finally descended that hallowed staircase, someone swept past me crying, "So many men, so little time." Little did I know then how true those words would be. I was 25 when the first of many friends tested positive for HIV. I joined the AIDS activist group ACT UP London, and I finally came out to my parents. I wrote my mum a letter, modelled on Michael Tolliver's Letter to Mama from Tales of the City by Armistead Maupin. She didn't reply. When I phoned home, my stepdad answered and told me my mother would need a bit more time. I'm pleased to say that she soon came round. I came out again the first time I appeared on television, on a programme about safer sex, hosted by actress Margie Clark. Now, it wasn't just one person I was telling, or even a room full of people. It was 1 million viewers. Among them were the nurses my mum worked with at the local hospital. When she arrived for her shift the next day, they told her they'd seen me on the telly talking about gay sex. Coming out isn't a single, solitary event. It's an ongoing process. 30 years later, I'm still coming out. I come out each time I show my husband physical affection in public, which isn't very often. You never know who's watching or what their reaction will be. You might be fine, or you might be verbally abused, or worse. Even now, even in a big city like London, coming out still takes courage, and it still requires vigilance. Even the online world can feel unsafe at times. A few years ago, I was targeted by a homophobic troll on social media. The case ended up in court, and I wrote a novel inspired by my experience. It's called The Closer I Get, and it's about the impact online abuse can have on a person's mental well-being. LGBTQ+ people aren't the only ones who experience online harassment. Women experience it. People from ethnic minorities experience it. But nobody is targeted simply for being straight. Heterosexuality is still the norm by which we're all measured. It's the reason why coming out is still seen as making a statement. In an ideal world, nobody would need to come out because it simply wouldn't be an issue. But it still is. A lot has changed since the day I first came out on that freezing beach in South Wales. We have legal equality now, but homophobia hasn't gone away. Harvey Milk used to say, "Coming out is the most political thing you can do. Only when every doctor, lawyer, and politician came out would we see an end to homophobia." Milk was assassinated over 40 years ago, and we're still not there yet. Don't get me wrong, if being gay was a choice, I wouldn't choose to be anything else. But sometimes the demands of coming out can be tiring. But then I think of the years I spent denying who I am, and I look back not in anger, but with gratitude. Coming out might still be a struggle at times, but the alternative is worse.